What's up, everybody? We're going to talk about Amazon affiliate marketing and internet marketing. This is the Q&A session on Fridays. I'm going to get the microphone real close to my mouth here. And I'm going to open up talking about how I got started in internet marketing. Some people may be a little familiar with the story, but if you're not, I'll tell you that I didn't even know what internet marketing was a few years ago. And the reason why I mentioned this, I'm going to talk about some of my favorite podcast episodes from Smart Passive Income. So I think everyone could hear me. Give me a shout. I see we have Wesley, Santiago, Marcel, Arun, and Furhan. And I want to thank personally the kind moderators, Marcel, Arun, and Furhan. Really appreciate it. This would be a complete mess if you weren't here. So everyone say thanks in the comments. Say thanks to those guys. We do appreciate it. Greg's on what's up. Happy Friday. Liz is on also, bringing up the rear here. And then Ravi. Cool. So in 2013, I found the Smart Passive Income podcast by Pat Flynn. Let me know if you are a fan of the podcast or the blog. Both are great. He's doing a lot more on YouTube right now too. David's on. I haven't seen David on in a while. Daniel's on too. Laura from Boston. Okay. So the thing is, I found this podcast, and before that, I listened to a lot of beer brewing podcasts. I like beer. If you start watching a few of my videos, occasionally there may be a kegerator or a beer glass or me drinking beer in there at some point. So if you're underage, don't do that. But if you can drink, check out beer. It's really good. And I got burned out on these beer podcasts. So I went over to Smart Passive Income, learned about affiliate marketing, really got pumped, listened to every episode that I possibly could. And I'll actually highlight a few. They're linked in the description. Don't go and click the link now. Check it out later. But I just want to point it out. And let's see. So we'd have Laura, Greg, and Lay Some Eggs told me your name's Melissa, right? And then Minnie. Awesome. Okay. So I'm just going to go over a few of the episodes quickly. So I'll say that episodes like 15 through 17 or so were about like passive income ideas and sort of different routes to make passive income. Now, this is circa 2011 though. So this was kind of way back. The ideas still hold true, but it's a little bit dated. Pat's much better at his craft now with podcasting. Another favorite episode, and I'm only picking the highlights here. Another favorite episode was number 51. That was the Tim Ferriss podcast there. The Tim Ferriss was the guest. And it was when he was promoting the 4-Hour Chef, which was great. That was kind of my first exposure to like Tim Ferriss on audio, I think. And I enjoyed it quite a bit. And I think before too long, I actually like checked out his podcast and got all his books around that time too. Moving forward, this is a big one, number 66. This is Niche Site Duel 2.0, a research interview. They talk about SEO, keyword research with Spencer Hawes. And he is the founder at Niche Pursuits. So I went over, got involved in Niche Site Duel 2.0, number 1, and then followed Spencer Hawes and learned a bunch from him. Spencer is how I got into Amazon affiliate marketing. If you go to Niche Pursuits and you search for Doug Cunnington, you'll find a few references to me on that. All right. As we're going through, and I'm just going to hit these again really quickly. So episode 92, this is Ramit Sethi, and he blogs at I Will Teach You to Be Rich. Super smart guy. He has a whole suite of different courses. I've purchased a couple. They're high-end products. And, some people don't like Ramit. Some people really like him. I really like him. And, I like his no-nonsense attitude. In a similar fashion, Derek Halpern, he was on episode 184, Psychological Strategies to Get More People to Open Your Emails. Read your copy and click on links. And I have also purchased a couple of Derek's, high-end products too. Very good. Both of those guys, like, you either love them or you hate them. They have strong personalities and they do it on purpose. So I think both are good guys and their courses are awesome. And a couple more recent. So 186, how to become a successful affiliate marketer. And then 290 is affiliate marketing, an insider look at my most successful long-term campaign. So those are some episodes to check out. Don't go listen to them now. Wait until you finish this feed. I have a bunch of questions. People sent in a very large amount of questions. I'm going to try to I'm going to go back and forth, right? I'm going to hit some in the chat. I'm going to get some that are in the description because I think there's going to be a lot of discussion today. Not 100% sure, but I think there will. So welcome everyone. If you're just joining up, I just ran through the episodes of Smart Passive Income that I really enjoy. Do check them out. It's interesting to, listen back to some of the earlier ones and then some of the later ones and see how, things have changed and how things are the same. So I'm just drinking some tea here. David says, every time you listen to a live cast, you feel like you should be drinking a beer while watching. You should, yeah, depending on the time of day. So, okay. And David is he has listened and followed Pat for a while. You remember the P90X workout. I remember hearing about the P90X workout. It's kind of funny. All right. So Michael has a question. First question. Michael Graham says, you watched the video where I talk about the keyword golden ratio. Thanks. And your question is, which tool is best to judge the keyword volume? Just pick one and use it. It doesn't actually matter that much. Each tool uses a different algorithm to figure it out. For example, I think Ahrefs uses like a 30-month average. So if it's a search term that doesn't have 30 months of data, it may be skewed low, that sort of thing. And then other tools have other methods. So it turns out the KGR, the keyword golden ratio, is pretty, foolproof. It's designed that way, right? So you can use just about any tool. Just use one tool though. Don't try to compare tools and try and figure out which one is more accurate. No one knows. So if someone tells you that their tool is more accurate, I'd be super interested to see the data where they could actually prove it in any fashion. Okay. So good question, Michael. And then the second one is, do I have any video on how to do effective backlink analysis on your competitors? Not specifically that. That's a really good idea. I would recommend that you, get a full access membership on Ahrefs, which is very expensive. If you want to do real backlink analysis, just use Ahrefs. It's the best way to do it. And you really can't do it any other way, right? I mean, if you don't have access to the full backlink profile, then you're just guessing. And then as far as analysis, you have so much data available at that point. I would say you have the ability to see what links with the domain rating, the DR and Ahrefs, you get a really good idea on how powerful those backlinks are. All right. Amin says, do I prefer to work on a niche and move on to a new one as soon as possible, or focus on one niche for a long time and make sure it's successful? The former. And which one do you like to do? Amin, and if you're listening to the recording, let me know in the comments. What do you like to do? Do you like to work on one site and then move on? Or do you prefer to, work on one site for a long time? Everyone works differently. And I kind of prefer to work on fewer things. A question that was sent in is, what is guest posting? So guest posting is when you hopefully network with someone who has a blog, and then you ask them if you can post guest post, which is, a guest that's you writing on their blog, and then they publish it for you. And oftentimes, usually, they link back to your site, hopefully to, some specific page. Maybe they just link to your homepage, but it's a helpful way to get referral traffic, to get a backlink, and just to get your name out there, right? If you have a bigger network, then you're able to get, other guest posts in the future, right? By the way, if you do a guest post on someone's site, and it goes well, then it's great to ask them, hey, do you know any other blogger friends that maybe would be interested in having me guest post? If people aren't doing that, that's like one of the easiest things to do. They already like you, right? All right. And David says, there was a time that you were listening to like 30 marketing podcasts. Yeah, I know what you mean. And then a no BS recommendation would be Marketing School by Neil Patel and Eric Sue. Cool. I've gone back and forth on Neil Patel. His YouTube stuff recently, if he's just talking to the camera, his attempt to be like, project and be assertive comes off real weird. So when he's just having a conversation with someone, cool, he acts like a normal person. But his on-camera persona is kind of like, it's like he's trying to take an element from like Gary Vee with the aggressive speaking, and it kind of turns me off. In fact, I didn't like Gary Vee for like a few years because I was like, why is this dude yelling at me? I am hustling. That's what I was thinking. But good recommendation, David. I've heard that's a good podcast as well. Duke says, you mentioned you like to work on one side for a period of time and then go back to the first and work on it some more. Rinse and repeat. Yep, that's a good way to do it. Okay. Isaac said, how would you change an all content homepage, like affiliate content homepage, to a static one without affecting rankings? Also, where do you take the original homepage content? Okay. So this is kind of a deep question, but I'll just answer it. If people don't understand, someday you will. So Isaac, number one, you just move it to like another URL, right? So typically on WordPress, I'm assuming you would just change your homepage to something else, right? Another page. You would then, that other URL, your old homepage, would go to whatever URL you wanted. I would recommend something keyword rich. That would make sense. And then without affecting rankings, well, I don't know. I've never done that, right? So I would say when you move the content over, hopefully that new URL with the same old content is going to start ranking. But if it doesn't, give it time, right? It's a work in progress, right? This is a long-term thing you're trying to do. So you may impact ranking some, but you're going to be better off in the long run, regardless. The sooner you do it, the better. Okay. Amin says there are some people who have 80 plus niche sites and others who have 6 or 7 and both are successful, or like me who has like a few, right? Not even close to 6. I wouldn't want 6 and 80. Man, that sounds like a nightmare. Minnie says, how important are backlinks? Very important. Can you rank for really competitive terms when you post really good content? Probably not, but I'm sure there are exceptions to the rule. Or are backlinks a must? I would highly recommend backlinks. People don't really want to link to affiliate content, right? Some people don't, some people will. And if you develop a good relationship and you actually have like really good content, you probably can link to your affiliate content. I've been pretty successful linking to my affiliate content and then, telling other people, that they can too. And then once you believe that you can do it, you can do it. So I would say like if you have highly affiliate content and it's kind of more aggressive on the sales side, it may be more difficult. Okay. Next, Michael also says, what do you do to get your commercial articles ranking? A backlink strategy. This is a super good question, Michael. There is a link to a playlist in this description for SEO and backlink and all that stuff. So check those out. Don't watch it now, but bookmark it, remember where it's at. However you keep track of these things, there's a playlist, probably a couple hours worth of content. Check it out, take notes. It's basically what you need to know. Hi says, how about embedding YouTube videos that are not yours? Sure, do it. You don't have to get permission. Basically, if you like if you are looking at my video and you see the little share like button underneath, there's an option to embed the video. When people publish stuff on YouTube, they want people to watch it. They want it to be embedded. And if they don't want it to be embedded, they can take that option out, right? This is an option within YouTube, so you don't have to get permission. I highly recommend that you embed videos. Barry is on What's Up, and Isaac says Neil shouts a little bit on YouTube. Yes, yeah. I think it's only when he's alone, like you said, but I think he'll evolve, right? Obviously, Neil is extremely smart, a really good marketer. He knows exactly what he's doing, and I'm sure I imagine in a couple months he'll dial it down, right? I saw a couple actually several comments where people were like kind of wondering what was going on. And Michael says, what backlink strategy would I recommend for a new website? So Michael, just be sure you check out that playlist, blog commenting, guest posting. And then the details are in the playlist. Okay. More questions. When should I start guest posting for my niche sites? As soon as possible. Paul wrote in and said, what's the minimum number of backlinks you should get to your website? Okay, minimum number, I would say like 10 or so. And further, Paul says, does it depend on my competition? Yes, it also depends on your competition. What's the minimum number? I would say, like, you shouldn't be trying to think about things like what's the least I can get away with doing. It's kind of the wrong mindset. And I know Paul, didn't intend that, because he said, what's the minimum, more like 10 or more like 100? So it's all about like the time span, what your goals are. If you're thinking, hey, I'm going to work on this thing for like 5 or 6 years and I want to sell it for $500,000, well, then closer to 100 and you have plenty of time to work on it. But if you're thinking, hey, what's the minimum number of links I can get in the next 2 months? Maybe 10 is reasonable, depending on how much time and money you can put into it. So it all depends. Everything's relative. Everything depends on what the goal of what you're trying to work on. So if you don't define what you're trying to do, then who knows what you're trying to do. You're just moving forward, walking around, not knowing where you're going. All right. Wesley says the art of building backlinks on a consistent basis is where your skills are lacking and where you're focusing all your energy. Cool. David says, do I have any speaking engagements coming up in 2018? No, you know what? I haven't pursued that at all. There was a period where I was like, you know what? I should try and speak at conferences or something like that, but I haven't like gone out to do it. And I think, actually going through this content sprint here on YouTube, where I'm publishing all this content, has been really sort of enlightening. It helps me understand what people are interested in and the different topics that are, I guess, that I'm interested in too. And a lot of things, right? If you've watched enough of the videos, you'll notice some of the same stories come out, but I'll take like a different tiny slice of a specific story and then talk about it for 15 minutes versus just a high level overview. So I'm taking different sort of ways to look at it. Okay. Next is, and David, if you have any suggestions on certain places where maybe I could speak, that would be interesting, or other people too, right? If you know of smaller conferences, I haven't done any speaking at all, really. So it would probably, I'd definitely want to start small. I should probably do something locally here. Okay. Santiago says, which VPN do I recommend to make Google searches? I don't know. I use Viper VPN, but it's more for like security kind of stuff. But I really don't know. And by the way, if people in the comments, right, or in the chat, if you happen to know of a VPN that seems to work well, feel free to recommend it. I really don't know. Amin says, do I believe in this link building theory? Slow and steady wins the race. I don't know. It seems arbitrary. Do you believe in it? I mean, it I don't know what that means. That is from the tortoise and the hare, so I'm not sure what you're talking about exactly. Okay. Minnie says, if you write a really good article which has more words than all the other sites on page one, how many backlinks do you need to rank? I don't know. So, and Marcel has a couple recommendations on VPN. So very good. Thank you for that. And by the way, so I'll go back. So these sometimes questions are hard to answer because there's no actual answer for them. So let me go back. Didn't mean to be flipped there. So Amin says, do I believe in slow and steady wins the race? Not exactly. It needs to be strategic. So you can be slow and you can be steady, but it needs to be strategic to, make this an alliteration, the triple S's. You could also do it fast and steady if it's strategic. So there's no real reason to go slow. You don't need to go slow unless you're learning along the way. And I know that some sites, if it's someone's like, third or fourth or fifth site and they know what they're doing, they can launch a site and they could rank it really quickly with a brand new domain, and they know where to deploy their efforts and invest time into backlinks or to content or whatever. And they're not wasting any time. So you don't have to go in slow. You don't have to go slow and steady. You can go as fast as you want. And then Minnie says, for that question, I mean, your theory is more words are going to win. And how many backlinks do you need? It depends because every single keyword phrase is different. So there's no answer to that. You may not need any backlinks or you may need 200. It just depends on the keyword. Embracing Wellness says, when you're writing an article and making a video on the same topic, is it okay to have the exact title and keywords? I think so. I haven't done any testing or anything like that. I think it would probably be fine. I think it would be fine to, link the two together, and that would probably be the smart way to do it. Nick says, can I speak to exactly what the Hoth is? It seems gray hat, but I've heard you talk about him before. So I'm an affiliate for the Hoth. So if you use an affiliate link from me, then I get a commission. They're good guys, though. Good guys and gals. They have really good customer support. They have a suite of SEO services and content services now. So you could have content written by them. I think that service is like really doing well. They have some case studies on that, I believe. The Hoth does have gray hat SEO services, but they also have white hat SEO services too. So and I could be a little bit off, but I'm pretty sure they started offering like gray hat services and then they've expanded because they had a team of people that could do stuff. So you could check them out and see what you think, Nick. I know for people that do gray hat, they love the Hoth and they will use them to get sites started. I don't personally use them for the link building activities at this point in time, but they're worth checking out. Okay. Barry says, how does pricing work on Upwork? Is the price something you negotiate, or does the freelancer determine the price? You negotiate. So you can like ask for, I mean, you can sort of like dictate it, and that's sort of what I do. So I'll negotiate once I'm happy working with someone. But typically if I put out a trial gig, I want to hire people that will work with me on the trial basis. Now, I don't lowball them or anything like that. I'm paying a fair price and stuff, but basically you're able to negotiate. It's just a free market there. Okay, I'm going to hop over to some of the questions that were sent in. Musicvial says, as usual, awesome content. Thanks for taking questions. So before applying to the Amazon affiliate program and getting the first website and content up, and to get the first website and content up, do I write articles without referencing to any products, or just use a standard Amazon link without the affiliate link until your Amazon account is approved? Technically, I think either one is probably fine. If I was starting, I haven't started a new site in a little while, but if I was starting a brand new site, I would probably write the articles without like linking to specific products, or I wouldn't use any images from Amazon that would violate the terms of service. You don't have the copyright um, permission to do that. So I would just probably publish things and be helpful and potentially review products, and not, put any links over to Amazon. I think that would probably be fine. And then you could apply. And then at that point, you could insert your links. I think there's a little flexibility on that though, but I generally just get your site going first and then you would apply. James says, how do you know which niche to pull the trigger on for your niche website? Are there any criteria that you look for when choosing? Yes, I look for all sorts of criteria. So how do you know which niche to choose? So you want to do keyword research and you want to do competition analysis. The thing is, those are very deep topics, so I can't answer it all right here. However, there is a playlist in the description. So check out the playlist for like keyword research. I also recommend you take a look at the keyword golden ratio. So yeah, you want to make sure that there are keywords that are buyers keywords that you could rank for. You need to make sure it's not too competitive. You want to see a little competition, but not too much competition, and that sort of thing. There's a lot of steps to that. And I do have a course. It's called 5-Figure Niche Site. Enrollment is closed right now, but it'll open up and it'll be a little while. But basically, that is one of the most valuable, few units, right? So there are, a couple, 3 weeks of figuring out what niche to go for. So it's not something you could just like skip over really quickly or anything, or answer quickly. Okay, some of the other questions here. Wesley says, you've seen the KGR and great content bringing traffic, but not enough backlinkings. Backlinking to see results, so it has you impatient to see if you're linking right for share results. So the key thing there, Wesley, is you need to be patient, because if let's say you get like 10 guest posts in the next month, it may be a couple months before things pan out and you start getting like a big bump in rankings. It depends on many, many things, the competition, the age of your website, and stuff like that. All right. And Wesley says, have you seen backlinks alone take a site from making 1,000 a month and double its earnings? I don't know about like specifically 1,000 a month, but for example, I've seen way better than that, right? So if you add some backlinks, I mean, you can like 10x. The thing that people don't understand is if you have let's say you have a term, Wesley, that's ranking, I don't know, 4th. Let's say it's ranking 4th and it's 1,000 searches per month kind of term. If you go from number 4 to number 1, your traffic may go up by like 8 or 10x. So when you think about that, and then you think about, people, I know the income school guys, they're like, backlinking is a waste of time. And I'm only quoting they have a video that says, stop backlinking, it's a waste of time, or something like that. When you realize, like, if you just spent a little time and tried to get some backlinks to a post, and you could get 8 or 10 times more traffic and probably like make your revenue go up like that too, I mean, why not do it? I mean, is it a little hard to do and you have to figure out how to do it? Yeah, it turns out it's work. And if you want to do anything worthwhile, like, you have to do work and all that. So, but if you don't want to do work, or you want to do a different type of work, perhaps you're a writer and you only want to write content, I can respect that. But if you knew that you can, do a little networking and maybe like bump up your revenue a lot, like that's probably a good idea to check it out, right? All right. And Duke laid out some good knowledge here. Your current experience is it takes 5 weeks or more before you see the benefits of your linking. So good to know. All right. Michael, all right. This is a good question. I'm glad you asked it. You're using Longtail Pro for keyword research and you're blown away by the quote low competition. I inserted the quotes for some of the keywords you found, especially that given the high search volume, you're talking 6,600 search volume with a KC ranging from 22 to 25. You'd like to know if that tool or if I like that tool or if I recommend it, do I believe the data, even if it's not precisely accurate? Does it give a good estimate? Okay, here's the thing. I'm going to do, because I haven't used Longtail Pro in a few years. So I'll get that out of the way. I believe the keyword search volumes and some of the other data is valuable. I think those are probably fine to use. The KC number, I don't think is accurate. And there were times, right? There were some useful times for the KC number. I don't think it's valid anymore. And if you see, like you're saying, it's a KC number of 22 to 25. And I don't think that's accurate. And I mean, you could test it, right? I don't know, but you could test it, publish something, see how it goes. The problem with a KC number is it gives you like a false sense of the competition. And you really kind of have to look at the real data. If there's too many variables to summarize it into one number, at least at that level. I know I have the KGR, but that is not something that can be automated. As far as what tool to use, it doesn't matter. You can use whatever tool you want. Now, like I mentioned, I'm going to review Longtail Pro. I'm actually going to take a look at a lot of keyword research tools because I haven't gone in depth. This is a super common question, as you can imagine. And, typically I just say, use whatever you want. It really doesn't matter. Okay. Hi says you love the new videos. Thank you. And PS, don't forget to like. Okay. So we're a few minutes in at this point. So I'm going to make a little request. If you like the video, or if you enjoy what I'm saying, please like the video. Please hit the thumbs up. It helps other people find this. And, one thing you may notice, we'll go behind the scenes here. I talked about several people. I talked about Pat Flynn, Ramit Sethi, let's see who else, Derek Halpern, Tim Ferriss. And I was able to, put some of that stuff in the description and all. So I'm just curious if like a video like this, if it got a lot of comments or likes or something like that, if it would actually like show up on people's feeds or something like that. Q&A is a little tough. These are a little rambly, but anyway, if I'm answering your question, please that's a good trigger. Just remember, like the video if you are having a question answered or you sent one in or something like that. Okay. And thanks for the reminder. Hi. Barry says you've noticed that some of your competitors have backlinks from manufacturers whose product they've reviewed and from the Wirecutter. How do you get these type of backlinks? Is it through outreach? The Wirecutter probably happens naturally. You probably can't make that happen. And then the manufacturers, yeah, you would just contact the company. Sometimes the company just, links out. Okay. Embracing Wellness says your site's fairly new, but you're getting 3 or 4 visits a day. Yesterday you had 87. It says referral links. This seems odd. What could it be? It could be like a social, well, it's a couple things. Someone came from another website. So if you could figure out where they came from, check to see where you have a backlink, but it could be like someone shared it in Facebook. Someone could have pinned it in Pinterest, or, someone could have put a link on their website even. So, yep, someone's referring traffic to you. That's cool. John's on. What's up? Minnie says, what do I think of curated content and article spinners so you can get so much content really cheap? Can I use these services and change the post a little bit so that it's more unique? Okay, Minnie. No, don't do that. Basically, in short, don't do that. And here's a rule that you could follow, and it applies to niche sites, and go ahead and apply it to the rest of your life too. If you're taking any kind of shortcut where you're trying to get something cheap, or you're trying to copy other people's information or content or whatever. So if you're trying to take a shortcut, it's probably not going to work. So I would avoid it. Sharon's on What's Up. That's Your Guitar Guide. Folks, you could check out Your Guitar Guide. You know, that's a pretty cool site. Alwayne, you have a question. You recently deleted a few posts from your site, but you still see the URL ranking, even though the posts are deleted. What can I do to completely remove the URLs? I think, look this up. All right, Alwayne, but I think you can, I think it's a 410. You could 410 that URL and it tells Google that that URL is gone. All right. And Daniel, great insight. On Longtail Pro, they now have training videos on how to do competitor research and backlink building. It seems like they're picking up on how unreliable the KC score is. And to be clear, it was so innovative when it came out like 4 years ago or so, 4 or 5 years ago. It was great because the data was way more accurate. And there, I mean, I think the source data was more accurate, but there's so many variables involved now that it really isn't, you know, that useful. Let's see. Tay says, so you talk about having passive income. Would you say you have a passive income as of right now? How much do you make per month? Okay, so I don't talk about my personal income or anything like that, but I can give you some ballparks. Would I say that I have passive income? I would say about half is passive. This, what we're doing right now, this is so far from passive that sometimes I lose my voice. You know, that's how unpassive this is. It's very active. So I'd say about half or so is probably fairly passive, but nothing is truly passive. There was obviously a lot of work on the front end of most of the things that I'm working on. These Amazon affiliate niche sites or any kind of affiliate or most affiliate marketing where the source of the traffic is organic SEO, typically those are front-loaded work. And once you get things set up, it's pretty straightforward, right? You don't have to do a lot of upkeep. You can do a lot of upkeep, but it's not purely necessary. And then Tay says, how much do I make now? Like I said, I don't share that because that's not in my like branding. Like Pat Flynn, right? He shares exactly how much he's making and he publishes income reports. And when I got started, I was trying to not do what everyone else was doing exactly. You know, I copied some stuff probably, but I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do income reports or anything like that. And I haven't at all. Occasionally I'll share specific case studies for specific things, but I make more now than I did when I had my corporate job. And everyone, you can just Google it, right? Like 10 years experience, IT project manager, consulting manager, like it's a pretty good salary. eBay and Shopify says, if you use a blog comment as a method for backlinks, does Google will penalize me for that? Not if you do it manually. If you use some automated software, then that could get you into trouble. But in general, you know, blog commenting is fine. Take a look at the playlist about SEO and link building and outreach and all that stuff. I talk about it in there. Next, Cam says, should I make Amazon affiliate niche sites based on a specific country? It's totally up to you. It's your choice. The pros would be potentially less competition if it's like a smaller country. Perhaps you have a competitive advantage because you could speak, you know, the language that is not English. And then some of the disadvantages is, you know, way fewer people would search for those potentially. So it's a little bit different. And by the way, if you're just joining up, or if I answered your question, by the way, so if I just answered a couple of the questions, so we got Cam, Shopify, Taze, Alwayne. If you haven't liked the video, please hit the thumbs up. Really appreciate it. It helps other people find the video and all that stuff. And next question, this is from James. How can you tell if your niche is successful if it takes 6 months for traffic to really start going? Well, this may not be what you want to hear, but you probably, number one, if it takes 6 months for you to get any traffic, you're probably doing something wrong. You're definitely doing something wrong. Most people in the course 5-figure niche site, if they once they work through the first 4 units, they start getting traffic within a few weeks, right? So it's like 4 to 6 weeks if you work through the content, right? If you do what you're supposed to, putting in like an hour a day or so, you should have traffic. And there are people in the chat I know that have done this, right? Okay. And the other thing is, like, it may take 6 months, right? So you just have to be patient. Then the third question is there something to or is there such thing as something that can a site be too professional looking? You're thinking of a site that's too polished that may hurt conversions. Sure, anything's possible. I think a more authentic site is probably better. So I feel what you're saying, James. I think that's a good point. All right. Oh, Adam is on. This first time on the live stream. Very cool. Good to have you on, Adam. I'm working through the chat, so it always takes me a second to go through. Alwyn says, you write most of your articles. Is it okay to pay someone on Upwork to improve those? Yes, it is. Ravi says, hey, Doug, please share how to do keyword research. Okay, number one, this is a great question, Ravi. If you look in the description below, there's a link to a playlist that'll answer most of your keyword research questions. Is there a best tool available? No, there are many tools available. Any of them are probably fine. David says, David, what's up? Good to have you on. There are various places that you learn about niche sites. For example, I'm the person you turn towards. Where do you get my learning material? Who's my guide? For what? For what thing? If you're talking about niche sites and Amazon stuff, I mainly am working from experience at this point, and then I talk to my peers who are off the radar. They don't have blogs and stuff. I take a look at what really are, my competitors, but we're like all, I think, on the cutting edge of like what we're working on. We each have our different spin. So again, these are my competitors, but check them out, right? Like, you can learn stuff from them too. So Spencer Hawes over at Niche Pursuits. You have the Authority Hacker guys. So that's Gail and Mark and Perrin. Everyone's super nice, by the way. And then you have Tung Tran. He's over at Cloud Living. So those are kind of the folks in this Amazon affiliate area, and everyone does things a little bit differently. I think my project management approach is pretty solid. As far as like other like marketing stuff, I look a lot at Derek Halpern, Ramit Sethi, people I referenced before, Pat Flynn, and Tropical MBA. That's more marketing in general, though, versus anything specific. Mohammed says, did I try to replace Amazon or with another affiliate company if the product is the same but with a higher commission rate? No. Here's why. People buy more stuff on Amazon. So even if you get, a higher commission rate, let's say it's 4 times more, people will probably buy more stuff on Amazon, and the conversion rate on Amazon is so much higher than most other like affiliate programs that you're usually still better off just sticking with Amazon. Not always. So I encourage you to test it. You got to test it. Okay. Next, Shafayat says, you saw Empire Flippers Marketplace and almost every Amazon site is using a PBN. Is there a way to detect if your competitors are hiding a PBN or not? There are some ways. I haven't looked too closely in the recent times here. But the thing is, if you check out like Ahrefs and Majestic, you could probably find a couple of the PBNs, and then you could sort of reverse engineer like what they're doing. If they're hiding their PBN and they're ranking without like any links and you see a discrepancy, then they're probably using a PBN. So one way you could try to find it is to search. A lot of PBN folks use a naked URL as their link. So you could just search for the naked URL type links or branded type links. Those are really common on PBNs. And then you can potentially find them because the PBNs, they need to be indexed by Google to pass the link juice, right? So they're on the Google index. So you should be able to find them. Owen says you will support the channel. Appreciate it. Really appreciate it. And by the way, this is great. We have like 55 people on and everyone's being cool. Everyone thank the moderators, by the way. Those guys are great. Really appreciate it. All right. And Michael is mentioning you using the KGR, Longtail Pro, and Ahrefs to do a complete research on potential keywords. That's a smart way to do it. And Marty, says you suggest Ahrefs or SEMrush. They give more data and more accurate difficulty scores. Agree 100%. And Ahrefs is looking fantastic these days. They have so many like newer tools. You can really dive deep into keyword research on Ahrefs. Minnie says, are forums good for backlinks? Sure. Can you use follow links from a forum to rank high in Google, or do you need to pay for PBN links to rank higher? Totally your choice, and it completely depends on the keyword and the competition. Adam says, by traffic, do you mean anything over 0 visitors? That's a callback to a question from before. So I think technically, yes, but I really mean like within, 4 to 6 weeks, you're probably getting potentially some days, 10 visitors, 15 visitors a day, and you can potentially make a sale on a pretty brand new site using the keyword golden ratio. Paul says, hi, everybody. What's up? And I answered your question earlier, Paul, I think, or I was about to get to it. I'm still getting through all of them here, so I can't remember. And then Robbie says, you're asking about the course. So it's 5figurenichesite.com. It is not open for enrollment now. It'll open back up in April. So you can go and sign up for the email list there, but it's currently closed. My plans for the weekend, I'm not sure. It's supposed to be cold and snowy. So I think we may go for a little hike though. Take the dog out, go for a hike. And then on Sunday, I invited a couple friends over. My wife, she's learning the banjo. So I have a friend who plays guitar, and then I play guitar a little bit too. And then another one that plays mandolin. So we're going to probably play some bluegrass. We'll try anyway. The other guys, they're pretty good. All right. Cam says, if you want to target a specific country, should you go with the .com or the country level domain? I think what you should do, I don't know, I've never done that, but here's how you could check. And by the way, this is kind of a framework to figure out questions that you don't know the answer to. Figure out the keyword that you want to like rank for, and then Google it in your country of choice, right? So in India, and then see what comes up. If all of the results are .in, then go with that. If they're all .com, go with that. If it's a blend, well, it probably doesn't matter that much. So that, again, that's a framework to, if you don't know the answer to a question, and I'm not saying you shouldn't have asked, but like a lot of stuff, you just have to check. So yeah. All right. As we're going through, and Paul, thanks for asking about my weekend plans. Tay says, awesome answers when it comes to the keyword golden ratio. How have you found the results? More or less traffic? Did it make for a higher conversion rate? Just not sure if it works or not. Okay. Thanks for liking the video, by the way, Taze. Actually, what I'll do instead, because who cares what my results were, people in the chat, if you've used the keyword golden ratio, tell Taze what happened. All right. Just let him know. And then I'll come back when I get to that section of the chat where everyone says what their experience is. Green Engineer says, are your editors SEO trained? No. I think one of the worst kind of people to hire, no offense to any SEO folks there, but I don't want to hire an SEO person. I know exactly what I want and I could train someone to do it. So if you have, here's the problem. I've tried it, right? So you hire someone who says they know SEO, but it turns out you don't know what they know, right? So they may have learned from a bad source. They may have read a blog post from Pat Flynn in 2011. Next thing you know, they're doing like bad stuff to your site. So the worst kind of person you could hire, no offense, SEO experts, is an SEO expert, because they're going to second guess you and try and tell you what's right. No offense, SEO experts. So I find, right? In fact, I gave some advice to a friend yesterday. He needed to hire someone to do SEO work. And I was like, don't try and hire an SEO manager. Try to hire like an editor that can follow a checklist. Because the guy already knows what he wants, right? He knows what he needs. He doesn't need someone to teach him SEO. He needs someone to implement it. Turns out if someone can follow directions and communicate reasonably well, I mean, that's all you need. So Green Engineer, I would highly recommend not to hire an SEO trained person. Typically they're going to be more expensive too, because it's kind of like a mysterious art. What keyword density do you aim for? It's keyword dependent, but generally I'm pretty conservative on it. I would recommend that you check out a tool called SEO Quake, and then you can get the keyword density for pages really quickly. Do I use an SEO plugin? I use Yoast SEO, but I basically ignore most of the stuff on there. There's a couple nice features I like to use there. Michael says, how did you come to the conclusion that the KGR score at 0.25 is good to use, and why? It's kind of arbitrary, but it's aggressive enough to work even with like varying keyword research tools providing different search volumes. When you do the math, you take the 250 local monthly searches, LMS, 250 multiplied by 0.25, that's 62.5, right? If you're following. So that means like if you publish something and you're targeting it, probably you should be able to rank in the top 63 or so. I think some of the guys at Human Proof Designs wrote a guest post, published it over at Dumb Passive Income, and they talk about that angle of it, right? So they reversed my formula and called it the rule of 63. But it turns out it's just aggressive enough to work, even if there's a lot of flaws. That's why, I mean, you can go as high as 1 if you wanted to, but by going like 4x more aggressive, like 0.25 instead of 1, I'm able to make sure it works for more people and to keep the whole formula simple. So that's the problem with a lot of the details. If I put all the factors in there, then it would be super confusing. So Michael says, do I use any special tools to manage projects? No. I like Google Sheets, and simpler solutions are always best. David says, what can you tell us about silos? Don't worry about silos. How should you interlink your articles? What's the best way to channel all that link juice? So I think the value of silos is in the interlinking, but not in the actual silo like design and architecture. The thing is, to interlink, I just say try and interlink like two to 5 times, something like that. from each article. And if you want to, you could try and map out the link juice and all that stuff, but I don't worry about it. Just interlink like crazy. And additionally, Marty mentioned that there's a Human Proof Designs podcast where I go into detail about. I should remember that. Thanks, Marty. I forgot. So yeah, I talk about the keyword golden ratio in that episode. All right. I'm gonna have to go faster here if I want to finish ever. Isla says, what's the most important thing to focus on in SEO backlinks? Do I use PBNs? I don't use PBNs. What's the most important thing to focus on in SEO backlinks? I mean, number one, most people, and I'll do two. So number one, do some kind of backlinking. There's some sort of allergy or great dislike towards backlinking, and it's not that bad. Just try and do it. I mean, I remember when I was talking about like not wanting to try and do guest posting. Turns out it's not that hard. You just have to like try to do it, and then you'll do it. So once you get past that, the next part is to attempt to get links where potentially you can get traffic, right? If you can get some referral traffic through it, I think those links are like better just in general and relevant. So it's a hard question to answer because there are a lot of factors that go into it. Payush says, can I rank a niche site with only 5 high quality long posts with a perfect keyword targeting and making backlinks? Yeah, sure. You could do that. Barry says, could I use a data-driven approach to niche research, or is it a bit of an art when looking through the SERPs? No, you can do data-driven. You'll end up with a qualitative and quantitative analysis, which is what I do in 5-Figure Niche Site. But it's pretty solid. Minnie says, do I know Spencer Hawes? I do. And Authority Machine. I do not know Authority Machine. Paul says, is recommending to Taze to check out the KGR videos from Doug. There is a playlist. There are many links in the description. So most of the questions not all, but a lot of the questions, especially the more basic ones, there's a playlist below. So just take a look and you'll probably get a lot of questions answered. Wakez, what's up? Have I ever thought about building a community around my niche site? No, I haven't. You're curious about having a forum in a directory. Yeah. So if you have enough traffic, it's probably a good idea. It could be interesting, and yeah, give it a shot. There's work to running a forum though. So be sure you understand that part. Duke says they work. More traffic than the tool showed, 2 to 3x more. CTRs to Amazon, 30 to 40%. Amazon conversion is from 8 to 10%. Oh, this is the keyword golden ratio. So yes, I agree with exactly what you said. Thanks, Duke. Success Roller Coaster says, do I use AdSense? No. And Marty says, you use the KGR, 7 out of your post ranked. 3 are number 1, 9 out of 20 are in the top 10. Still have to work on backlinks. Your content is presented well and a good length also. Very cool. Thanks for the insight, Marty and Duke. Awesome content says, hey, Doug, you're new here. Can you use the Amazon affiliate program with other affiliate partners at the same time? Yeah, pretty sure that's fine. You don't use Amazon right now for your niche site, but another affiliate program. So what you should do, right? So if you're in you can, there's support, right? Here's what I'm trying to say. So for questions like that, one should probably check on their own, right? So you should check with the other affiliate program and say, hey, I want to use Amazon. Is it okay if I do that on the same page? Let them know your situation in this scenario. And then you could also contact Amazon and associates, right? You just say, hey, I'm interested in the program. You can email them, chat with them, whatever. They have support people that are there to help you, right? And the thing is, policies change all the time. So depending on when people watch this, it may or may not be accurate. Additionally, I don't know 100% of the policies, right? I know the main ones and stuff, but I know that I've definitely seen like other people do certain things, but that doesn't always mean that it's okay. So I would say, awesome content. It's always good to, utilize the free resources that you have with the companies, right? With the support. So a lot of times you could just email them or call them, something like that. Okay. Adam says, you haven't tried out the keyword golden ratio yet. What's the best keyword density? The one that works for that keyword, since I don't agree with Yoast SEO. So here's what you have to do. You Google the keyword and then you look at the results and then you see what they have. So you go gather the data. The thing is, Yoast is good for like general bloggers that are not like they're targeting a keyword like best they're targeting a keyword like action camera, and we would be targeting keywords like best action camera for snowboarders who wakeboard also. So if you use that long phrase, it's going to be weird if you use it like 1% of the time or whatever Yoast tells you. So Yoast is useful for the right person, but we're like doing some sophisticated keyword research and content, so it doesn't apply for us. So the best keyword density is the average keyword density for what Google is ranking, and that should be fine. And Marty clarifies and says 8 out of 20 are ranked 1 to 3 with, it sounds like, minimal link building. So that's cool. Very, very good. And I think, that, I mean, Marty's in the course, right? And Marty has, implemented this stuff, published articles, and that's actually fairly common. You'll get, some are right where you would imagine them to be. Some are going to potentially take longer to move up, and some are duds, right? Some don't work. So if you try this and you do one article and it doesn't work, but you hear everyone else is saying that it's working, then maybe you picked a bad one. There are some bad ones, right? So it works pretty well, but it's not 100%. Okay. And Paul, what's the question no one asked, but you wish someone had? I'm not sure. There's quite a few questions coming through, so I'll have to think about that. Maybe that's a question for another day or an answer for another day. Okay. And Ravi says you're watching many videos. You watch at least two. That's awesome. Appreciate the support. Is it okay to have AdSense with Amazon on the same site? Yes, it is. Greg says you linked build 3 months ago and didn't get indexed. What should you do? Depends on, what do you mean? Like the links aren't indexed or the pages aren't indexed? It depends, You're probably doing something wrong, but I don't know what to ask actually. So Alwayne, use comment love, but most of the site isn't familiar with my niche. Even though you type in related keywords, should I still comment on the site that comes up? Also, when commenting, can I comment my naked URL? Okay. The site isn't familiar with your niche, even though you type in a related keyword. Should you still come up on the, let's see. It's totally up to you. If you want to comment on it, why don't you try it? And then if none of them are approved, then don't do it anymore and find something more relevant. If it does work, then keep doing it. And then also when you comment, can you put in your naked URL? You can try. A lot of times that's not going to work. because it's really spammy and kind of a jerky move. So I would recommend don't do it, but you could try it if you want. And if it works, you can keep doing it. And then Greg, I'm trying to think about like your site not being indexed. I mean, I don't know what kind of links you built, but maybe they weren't good ones. So go back and figure out if you're not, you know, if you're not building good links, like do better ones and see what happens. Barry, you have a good weekend too. Santiago, have a good weekend. Paul says you use AWIN. You have several partnerships there. They're terrible. They don't answer their emails and pay after 6 months, even though they say they'll pay within 3. Yeah, so that sounds not cool. Bills 180 says, how much does it cost to hire Upwork for folks to do 2,500 work articles? What's a work article? And how much does it cost approximately? Well, it all depends on you. But if I had to guess, I would say, it's probably going to cost, let's just say $20 each. So is that $50K? Roughly, something like that. What's the best backlink service? I don't know. I would check out the Hoth. Is Fiverr a good option? No. Charles says, why the YouTube content sprint? I wanted to grow the channel, and the word on the street is if you publish a lot of stuff, then you'll show up on more video suggestions and that sort of thing. The other part is when you do a sprint like this, whether it's content on a niche site, which I've done, there's a video about it, or, you're working on a course like I've done, or something like that. Like when you put your head down and do a lot of work, you usually learn a lot. And most of the time, if you plan it well, you'll end up getting a pretty good positive result. And I'll share the results later, by the way, once I get, I guess, a little bit more of the results in. But it seems to be going well. And I'll just ask in the comments, really curious, and in the chat, have you been seeing more of my videos as suggested videos as you're logging on and checking out YouTube? Okay. Paul says, is it useful to have backlinks pointing to the homepage or prefer mainly to specific pages? Both are useful. I used to mainly aim for specific pages, but now I'm seeing, there's still like great value in having a brand, like the brand links going to your homepage. Your guitar guide says, if someone does the course but doesn't do backlinks, will it work but just take longer? I don't know. Probably it'll work a little bit, but the thing is, you're not going to get as good of results. So it might work and you may be able to do it, but it just depends. And there's the factor of like niche selection, the keywords, and the competition. Michelle says, is Keyword CAG a platform or do you have to download software to use it? It's like an online tool. So it's a cloud-based tool. The Trader Guy says, if you comment on a news story, some places ask for your website. Does this create a backlink? It depends on the site and how they implement their stuff. So best way to check that is to leave a comment, put in your website, see what happens. I would doubt it. Here's the thing. If it's something like that, it's probably like not going to be a link out there. Marty mentions that Fiverr is not a very good place to get links. And I'll just tell you, a lot of your questions sound like you're trying to do things for cheap or take shortcuts. So like get away from that mindset. You're probably not going to find any success if you take that route. And then watch some of the videos where I talk about like why I don't use gray hat tactics. Basically all the things you're talking about, like I don't do that stuff anymore. Okay, I'm going to hop over to the questions that were sent in. Peter says, in another video, I said competitors can post links to hurt my site, and you assume that it looks like bad gray hat. Yes, that's correct. How can you tell Google to ignore them so as not to get penalized? You can add them to a disavowed file and upload it to the Search Console. And by the way, if you have a site that's been around for a while, you probably should, take a look at that, once a month or quarterly, and get rid of the crappy links because they show up. Do you configure Google Analytics in as an industry category type as reference or specific? I don't remember. When should a new site start earning money? I would say like between 4 to 8 weeks, something like that. And then who do you set as the author of blog posts when I hired a writer? Whoever the persona is on the site. Snowy Frog says, in one of the earlier videos, I talk about interlinking. Do I have an update on how that worked out? Is it still something you do actively? It worked out really well. And yes, I still do it actively. I'll hop back over to the chat. Okay, and the trader guy says, I think he means Word. So that must be, how much does it cost to hire Upwork folks to do 2,500 Word articles? Oh, that's totally different. So I usually pay about 15 bucks for 1,000 words. So you can extrapolate and, figure out how much that'll be for you. I was thinking, wow, this person is building a huge site and it's really hard to get 2,500 articles. So good luck. But 2,500 word articles, well, that's much more reasonable. Always says, bro, I check one of my posts, you use the KGR formula and you get 170 searches and it's already on the second page within 11 days. Awesome. Good work. How do you get featured on sites like Forbes, Entrepreneur, etc.? And why do we even need it? I don't know. I've never been featured on any of those. I don't even talk about it. So, but you potentially would get a lot of traffic. Me, it'd be great to be on Forbes or Entrepreneur because then I could say I've been on Forbes or Entrepreneur. Laura says, you see my content every day now. Awesome. Thank you for letting me know. Duke says, normally you would see videos that were new. However, you've been doing a lot of unrelated searches for videos to put up posts. And now you're seeing a lot of niche related videos suggested. Cool. Paul says, do you always use the keyword you target in the anchor of the backlinks? No. Matthew says you have a site with over 400 backlinks. Many do follow, and a site with just a handful. There's some crossover with the topics. Is it worth targeting some of the same keywords on both? You notice you rank for both. Maybe. Sites already for some keywords on the first page. Yeah, I would say potentially that could be worthwhile. Sure. Pete says for search volumes over 250, are the all in title results still a decent indicator of the competitiveness? Kind of. It kind of falls apart, right? So if you let's say you find a search term that gets 10,000 searches a month, that means, right, if you go with a 0.25 ratio, that means you could have like 2,500 competitors. So at that point, like you're competing against a lot more people, right? A lot more pages. All right. And Paul says, "Where's the dog?" Well, my wife is off of work for today, so she was walking Georgie the dog, and they got back in, and they knew I was doing some work in here, so the door's closed, so she can't get in. Laura says, "You enjoy the content, teaching style, awesome, great. It'd be great to have you on." And David, actually, Brody, he died. So Brody is my old dog. He had cancer and died like last year in May. So the new dog is Georgie. And I do have a couple more questions in here. Best practices like making a page with affiliate links acceptable to a site owner, and how to include links to a guest post. Sure. Oh, and I guess there's a sort of a preface. In one of the videos, I talk about putting 2 to 5 links to my site in a guest post if the site owner allows it. Can I talk about best practices to increase the chances of the site owner leaving your link in? Basically, if you network with a person and they know who you are, they'll probably let you leave the link in. Andrew says, after doing tons of research, educating myself on content marketing, SEO, and affiliate marketing, thanks to your content again, you're welcome. You've started to scratch that entrepreneurial itch by launching a product review site. My question is, am I making the mistake of going too broad with my niche? And little background, this is like a question around launching a general review site that has like, everything under the sun, right? They're trying to compete with like the Wirecutter and like thoroughly reviewed and top 10 reviews and sites like that. So the question is it a mistake? Now I can't answer that for you. Yeah, so here's the deal, Andrew. I can't really answer it for you, but what I can tell you is most people that try to compete with the big sites, and they're just like normal people like you and I, they they run out of steam. They quit. They quit early. Um, so it depends on what your goal is. It depends on your skill set, your budget, what you're trying to do. If you are just getting started, I would not recommend doing that. It's just a lot of work, and it may be 3 years before you can pull it off, right? You're probably going to quit before then. It's much better to, try and get on base. It's much better to, do something that's a little more attainable. Like, it's great to challenge yourself and have big dreams and stuff like that, but you have to start like at a point where you can, figure it out. And if you're trying to compete with people that have, or companies that have like millions of dollars, and they've like the Wirecutter, for example, was referenced by Tim Ferriss in a recent podcast, I think. And he was like, yeah, one of my friends, Brian Lamb, he started the Wirecutter and then sold it, and so on and so forth. So, remember that, like, the person that started the Wirecutter was like a content director for like online magazines for years. He's friends with Tim Ferriss and stuff. So it wasn't just like some guy, you know, who launched his first site and didn't know anything about content. Like, he was literally a director of, a like big content sites before he started the Wirecutter. So, okay. And I think that's all the questions in the chat. Be sure to check out the playlist, by the way. Those are really helpful. Okay, Mohammed says, would WordPress be the best choice to become an affiliate marketer? I don't know. Maybe. Sure, it's fine. Anything works, right? If you want to do straight HTML, you could be an affiliate marketer. If you want to use WordPress, a lot of people use WordPress. There's a lot of plugins out there for it. Most people do use WordPress, but you don't have to. Is it the best choice? I don't know. I haven't done research on all the other choices, but most people do use it. Laura says, sorry about Brody. Thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah, the new dog looks pretty good. Okay. All right. And it looks like, okay, your guitar guide is heading out. Matthew is going to check it later. Graham says, oh, what's up, Graham? Good to have you on. Graham says, it differs wildly between sites, but do I have any estimated revenue per article? No. And then to like clarify further. It says like if you have 50 articles, how much per month, 100 articles, and just a guesstimate. You've been talking about timelines a lot, and you think it would help people understand how much they can make per article once established. Okay, so the thing is, it just varies so wildly, and probably what will happen is like 1 or 2 articles will make like the majority of the money, probably. So when you put it in that context, the average almost doesn't matter that much. Good example, right? Couple contrasting sites. So the site in Project Go White Hat, it was making 10K a month, and it only had like about 45 review posts. Most of the revenue, like 85, 90%, it was only from like 1 article. So probably like $9,000 per month from 1 article. So the other articles didn't make much. And what's the what's the like the joke or whatever when Bill Gates walks into the room or Jeff Bezos walks into a bar, the average net worth goes up by like, $10 million or something like that. So as far as like how much you can make per article per month, it really, really depends. So, and the point you're trying to make is you think it would help people understand how much you can make once established. So I would say if you're taking the keyword golden ratio approach and then adding some higher volume search terms and content to your site, you could be, let's say, 50 articles, you could be making in the probably like say $2,000 to $10,000 range. And this is why this isn't super useful. It depends on so many factors, like the price of the majority of the products that you're reviewing. If so many of them are like really cheap, then it's going to be hard to like tick it up higher. So the range is huge. I've seen sites with, 200 posts. They're following a different model, not the niche site project, the project management approach. They're just like, you know what? I'm gonna publish like 200 articles. I have great keywords, and they publish 200 articles. They're targeting all this stuff. They're competing against the Wirecutter, and they have like basically no traffic and like no revenue. So they have high quality, long form content. They're targeting good keywords. They're targeting buyers' keywords, but they just took a terrible approach and tried to do too much too soon. And they put all their effort into the content side, and they're literally making no money, and they don't know what to do. Right. They've worked so hard. They put 18 months into it. Right. This is a real person, by the way. This is a real example. So the better approach would have been to publish some KGR articles and then like learn about the full process, right? The whole life cycle of like getting traffic, like publishing content, getting traffic, the conversion side of it, and then like improving along the way. So instead of publishing 200 articles that were maybe pretty good and didn't get any traffic, publish 10 articles and then like figure out like which parts worked and then like keep getting better over and over. So the 200th article is better than the first one. But if they just do the same thing the whole time, it'll get a little bit better, but it's not going to be the same. So Graham, the takeaway is that following the KGR and the tips is more content, more money. So keep writing. The course talks about it a ton. Yes. Find profitable niches that aren't oversaturated by using the KGR. Yeah, totally. Thanks, Graham, for pointing that out. And I wish I could like quantify it better. And I may like ask again some of my peers if they have some idea, but a lot of times there are too many variables involved for us to like make a prediction that's like worthwhile. And actually, I should do a whole video on this. I complain about the meteorologist all the time. I used to really love to like check out the weather and like all the data that we have available now. But I think it was when like the Weather Channel and stuff, like got so sensationalized, and they were like, you know, take cover, storm of the century kind of stuff, and they kind of sold like every story because they were trying to compete with, you know, I guess like news channels who were using the same ideas. It really turned me off. In fact, I hardly watch any news or weather. And the problem with the weather, I'm going to bring it around. The problem with the weather and meteorologists is they would sound so sure. They were like, we're going to get so much snow or we're not going to get any snow. And then back in, I think 2011 or 2014, I can't remember, um, Atlanta, where I used to live, got like, I don't know, it was like an inch of snow. And then the city shut down. There were kids trapped on buses overnight, like stuck on the highways, right? Totally embarrassing for the city. But I mean, it was the weather. They totally could have like taken some of the warnings or like understood what was going to happen. Anyway, the point is, if I made predictions about like earnings per article or something like that, it would be wrong, just like the weather meteorologists and all that stuff. So to bring it all the way around, um, I'm not. I usually, if I don't know something, I usually just say I don't know. Okay, and Graham is hooking me up here. He's saying if anyone is reading this, you recommend Five Figure Niche site. Appreciate that. Mohammed says, what about content grabber scripts to run a autopilot website, running an automatic website while fetching data from the web, grabbing related keywords in your niche? Mohammed. I said this earlier, but maybe you weren't on. If you're trying to do anything that seems like a shortcut, it's probably not going to work. Now, I haven't tried that. So again, like I mentioned, if I don't know, I usually say I haven't tried it. I don't know. I've never tested it, that kind of stuff. Mohammed, that sounds like a terrible idea, but I've never tried it. So if you try it and it works, let me know. I'd be super interested. And Graham, this is really good to know. As a relative newbie, when you started your site, you were averaging about $5 a month. Now, with a bit of age, you're up to $10 per article. You're hoping with more experience, more content, you can continue making more per article, which is really motivating. Formulaic says, would it make sense to publish more competitive articles to go along with KGR or solely focus on KGR when starting a new site? It's good to publish a few, probably maybe like, 20, 30% that are more competitive. Yes, that is a good idea. And actually, Formulaic, that's a great question. It wasn't asked before. I really appreciate it. And it's your first live question. Cool. I was going to say, I've seen you around for sure. Cam says, how do you hire a good content writer? Well, if you want to hire one good content writer, you should probably hire 3. And then probably one of them is going to be pretty good. Crazy thing, there's a whole video on hiring and scaling content. So if you go to my, go to the channel, click on the search thing on my channel and say like, scaling content or how to hire a writer, there's probably 2 or 3 videos that will work. Adam says you're trying to implement the keyword golden ratio in some of your saved keywords. Your search volume shows the values of like it's showing ranges. Okay. Adam, you're using the keyword planner. So you need to check out like a free option is Keywords Everywhere. And then it's a Chrome plugin. So you could use it for free. Check it out. It works pretty good. You could do like bulk checking. And I think Keywords Everywhere may actually show the volume in the keyword planner. I'm not sure if it overwrites, but it's a very good plugin. So you can check it out. There are paid options, but it sounds like if you're just getting started, just use the free one. Keywords Everywhere. I'm not affiliated with them or anything like that. D-Card says, do I use curated content? No, sure don't. All right. I think I may be towards the end of all the questions. If you have any, last minute questions here. And by the way, I think some people just joined up and I haven't asked that much to like the video, but if I answered any of your questions, please hit the like button. Would really appreciate it. Oh, I saw one went up. I've liked the video already. I'm usually the first person that likes it. But if I answered any of your questions, or if you just found me um, mildly helpful, or even if you're just neutral on me, go ahead and hit the like button. I consider that a win. So I think that'll that'll be fine, and it'll help other people hopefully maybe find this video. If you're watching the replay and you're somehow still watching while we're like, I don't know, like an hour and a half in, you deserve a medal. And I would appreciate it if you commented. If you stuck around for an hour and a half, you don't have to ask a question. You don't have to say anything interesting. You can just say, hey, enjoyed it. Really appreciate it. That's all you got to do. Thanks. Graham says, keep in mind when using the keyword golden ratio or any research tool, there are always more variations that can pick up higher volumes. So if a term looks like it has 100 searches per month, it actually may be 500 or 1,000. Yes. And that is, it comes in through the long tail. So if you imagine, let's say, best journal for bullet journaling, right? Something like that. If you get the search volume for that, people are still searching other variations using that. So you'll get long tail traffic that's like so rare that like it's never been searched for before, right? People search for like bullet journal, best for journaling with a permanent marker, and Pilot G2 pens. I'm totally unoriginal. Those are literally things just laying right here, like right in front of me. So I can't think of anything else except what's right in front of me. So the thing is, Graham is right. And Paul mentions there's no trolls today. Yeah. And I have my good people helping out. Marcel, Arun, Furhan, really appreciate it. Okay. And I think we're all set. I think I answered most of the questions, and I can't see any others coming through. Laura, good to have you on. And if it was your first time on live today, I hope you enjoyed it. We do these every week. Sometimes on Wednesdays, most of the time on Wednesdays, I do a topic, right? It's still a live stream, but I do a topic. And if you're interested, there's actually a pretty good one from last Wednesday, a couple days ago, where I tried a slightly different format so as to not get too distracted. So, all right, thanks everyone. Laura, Formulaic, Daniel, Paul, we have Mohammed. What keyword search do I use? Keyword keg typically. And David and Marcel and Charles and Bills and hi. All right, have a good weekend. I'm out of here.